Welcome to Jogress. This episode 20. We got Mike in the house.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
I'm Peter, and then we got our special guest, the Mr. What did you get? 13th, top 16 himself at Ultimate Cup with the Gabubond deck. Go ahead, James.
How's it going, guys? James here.
Today we're just gonna just ask James some questions. Of course, talk about his Ultimate Cup tournament and how it went, and then he'll talk a little bit about his list. So we got the Ulti Cup. So James, you usually play Bloom Lord. What made you choose Gabubond this time?
So, I mean, as you guys know, because y'all were there as well, I had a horrible tournament run in the in-person regional at Mesquite. I went to go play against purple decks, and I played against nothing but yellow decks. So I needed a break from Bloom, I guess. After that, like I was already starting to play Gabubond, like a little bit before that. So I was already playing it. I was play testing it, and I really liked how it played. I wasn't sure about taking it into a big tournament though. I probably wouldn't have, even now. I still wouldn't have taken it to the Mesquite tournament. It's just not what I had in mind at the time. I hadn't play tested it enough. So this next Ultimate Cup that came up, I told myself like I'm gonna play something else. I didn't really know what I was gonna play at the time. I had Bloom. I was thinking about Melga also as well. But I just ended on Gabubond. I felt like it did really good into the meta, so I ended up wanting to play that instead.
I mean, it worked out anyways, because you got top 16 with that thing.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, I wasn't thinking I was gonna get placed that high, to be honest. But I mean, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. And there's actually some pretty crazy plays that can come. I mean, looking at the list, it doesn't look like anything too crazy outside of maybe like the Gesomon, but like it's a pretty standard Gabu list. At least I think it is for right now. It's pretty standard. The only things I would say that aren't is the Gesomon and maybe Foxfire. The Foxfire is a really good card though, so I kind of peeked at other people's lists, what people were running right now with this deck, because I mean, obviously nobody's been playing this deck, so there wasn't much to go off on. But there was a couple videos here and there that I saw. I was like, okay, I can maybe start with this and change whatever I like, and this is pretty much what I ended up on.
So you just got a skeleton of something, and just put your own little spice to, like, for your own style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like change ratios here and there. I checked out, I can't remember what podcast it is. They're the guys who talk about, I guess they put out a video about security control, how to beat security control. I forgot which YouTubers it were.
Digital Gate Studios.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So they put out one for Gabubond. My list is completely different from that. They're running like Garurumons and Weregarurumons, and along with the it's pretty much a Gabumon line, but I'm not running the line at all. Like I looked at that list and I was like, I don't think this is fast enough. So I had to base it off of something else, but that's kind of where I started. I was like, well, I kind of wanted to figure out where the deck was like right now, and that was like one of the only videos that I could really find on it, to be honest, like right now for BT15 meta. So that's where I kind of started, and then kind of branched out from there. But like I said, my list is not identical to that list at all. Like that's completely different.
Yeah, from what I noticed that real quick when I because I remember when we were in Mesquite, I asked you for your list because you were saying you played it and you were having some fun with it, and then I saw you played against Devas, against Marcus, and you're just like outspeeding him like crazy. when we had that little
Mhm.
in-house tournament.
Yeah.
And when I saw the list, I was like, wait, I went to go check out the Digital Gate Studios list, and I was like, this is completely different. But I kind of I like your list more just because it fits how I like to play the game too. Um, it's just super quick, super fast. I don't have to like worry about going into a line or anything.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how Gabubond should play. Like, I think it's naturally just a warp deck, and that's exactly what I treat it as, is a warp deck. I want to warp into Bond, or I want to warp into Metal Garu. Can I go up the line in this deck? I can, which I actually did in tournament a couple times. So it does come up if I have to go up the line, I can. If I have the Metal Garu in hand and the Zudo as well. But there's plenty of search in this deck, and there's plenty of draw power. There's a ton of draw power just off the mats and the Gabumon that lets you draw one. Promoting that Gabumon, the BT15 Gabumon, while you have mat on board, you're gaining one memory and drawing two, and then giving himself blocker, which that's pretty crazy just for promoting. Like, so there's plenty of draw power in the deck. And I don't think going up a line is really necessary in this deck, and that's exactly what I treated it as. More of a rush style deck. We want to do things as fast as we can before our opponent can set up or it have anything on board. That's pretty much what I wanted the deck to do.
Yeah, and that Gesomon, the that's one card I wanted to play around with Blue Hybrid for a while, but I was always like, no, I just put Ikakumon in there instead, and then I think one of the games where you're able to swing, use the Sword Joe, and I'm like, okay, he sold me. I'm taking the Ikakumons out. I'm putting that thing in there. I ran it yesterday, and it was actually pretty fun in Blue Hybrid as well.
Yeah, it's really crazy, like the stuff that you can do. Like, just looking at it, like you like a person who hasn't played Gabubond before, which there's a lot of new players that have no idea what Gabubond does in general. I had maybe one or two people ask me, "Oh, that the bottom decking effect is not once per turn," and I'm like, "No, it's not once per turn. The when attacking is once per turn to restand." And they're like, "Oh, that's actually kind of crazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's clears boards, especially in the meta that we're in right now." Pretty much, I wanted to base, like you said, the Ikakumon. I believe it's from EX1. The EX1 you're talking about, right? They can swing into other Digimon that are standing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did kind of play around with that card as well, but I decided to run Gesso over that because I didn't want to. I was preparing more for the Numamon matchup, more than anything, to be honest, because this deck just hard counters Numamon. But yeah, I didn't want to have to delete anything. I was fine with all the bouncing or the bottom decking, so that's why I chose Gesomon over Ikakumon. But I was definitely looking into that card as well. But then I found Gesomon, and I'm like, yo, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
you have Sora and Joe, you can literally, if they're promoting from raising and they're leaving level 5 on board, then you can literally just trash other sources and bounce it back to hand.
That's wow.
Even with a level 6 too, you swing, you strip. Say you have jamming and you use Sora Joe, that's 3 strips, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna use Zudo now. I'm gonna bounce the rest of your stuff to hand.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty gross. It was cool. Yeah, when I started thinking about it, I was like, man, James is on to something here. And then I put it into my Blue Hybrid yesterday, and I was like, all right, this feels really good. I love it. I love the card now so much.
Yeah, it's definitely a sleeper card for sure.
I did see another channel where they actually spoke about your list too. They were wondering why the Foxfire over Scatter and some other cards.
Over which cards?
I believe it was called... What happened, Mike? Go ahead.
They was wondering why you used Foxfire instead of Radical Star.
Oh, over Rattlestar.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think that's the one that it's a 5 cost and bounces something, right?
Yeah.
Let me see.
because there was one that says with Foxfire, it's either return the level 4 lower or the lowest play cost.
If your opponent
They
has
just-
3 or more Digimon, play return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the subject. Okay, yes. I do remember looking at this. See, the problem with Foxfire, the problem with Rattlestar that I saw, looking at my list, I didn't have a way to get rid of big bodies like level 6s or level 7s unless I had Death X or if their Digimon was suspended and I went into like a Gabubond and I had enough DP to swing into it. Unfortunately, Gabubond himself is only 14k. We don't run any DP boosting or anything like that. So a lot of the level 7s are 15k and higher. So even having Gabubond, I don't have anything to swing over those 15k to 17k, whatever it is. Usually it's 15 or 16. I don't have any way of getting rid of those at all unless I have Death X. So that's why I needed to run something else, but also that is a cheap cost because I never wanted to give opponent, you never want to give Numemon more than 3 memory if you can help it, or 2 memory if you can help it. So that's why I ran the Foxfire, because even Rattlestar, I believe it doesn't bounce level 6s either. It says, oh, here it is. Return one of your opponent's level 5 or lowers to hand, and then if your opponent has 3 or more Digimon, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the owner's deck instead. So I guess I can see Rattlestar working, but that only works if they have 3 or more Digimon on board. Yeah. So against 1-stack decks, that does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely never want to see this card in hand ever if I ran it. Even if I ran it at 1, like let's say I ran 2 Foxfires in one of those, I would almost always want to see Foxfire over that every single time. At least in my mind. Because like I said, I have no way of getting rid of most level 6s or 7s. Even Metal Garurumon at 12k is like for level 6s, which you'll have Metal Garurumon over Gabubond most of the time because you're drawing so much, and then you're kind of just waiting for either a Gabumon or a Mat so that you can go into Bond. But yeah, that's why I ran Foxfire over it, mostly just to get rid of the level 6s and 7s.
Okay.
One of Marx's questions, he said you had a matchup. He's like, how did you feel after some sort of matchup with a Secon player or something like that? They kept calling a judge on you or something.
Bro, that match. Okay. We'll start with this. Game 1, I beat him. At the end of that match, he tells me, I'm going to call judge. I have a recording where you didn't draw one of your cards off Digivolve. And I'm like, okay, sure, go ahead. Do what you got to do. Which if people want to call judge on me, I'm fine with that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like calling judge on my side, like ever. I don't care to call judge, which I probably should start calling judge on certain things.
Yeah.
I'll win more matches like that. But I personally don't like to. It's a waste of time. And I just want to, play the game. Play the game and, have fun. That's why we play this game, right? To have fun. I don't want to have shitty interactions with, random people on the internet that I don't know.
Yeah.
So he ends up calling judge. I guess he sends the video to them, and the judge tells us to continue playing. He says, as of right now, I have game 1. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, review, whatever. If I missed it, then okay, fine, I'll get a warning, whatever. Judge comes back in later in our game 2. I'm like steamrolling this guy game 2, because he's a trash player. That's how I felt about it at the time. And he comes in and he's like, okay, well, you did forget to draw off of the Digivolve, and then you also placed Ukamon under your Lanamon off of Lanamon's effect, which Lanamon's effect is you're supposed to take a blue level 3, not just a level 3. But I was already frustrated with him, so like I threw a fucking Ukomon under. I was just trying to get the game over with. So like I was frustrated at that point, and I took the Ukomon, and they saw that as well. So they're like, oh, well, based on that, and because you forgot to draw, we're gonna go ahead and give him the W. And I was like, okay, I was mad at that point already, and I was in the middle of game 2, and I was about to win. So I was like, okay, well, can we finish our match now? And they're like, he's like, yeah, you can go ahead and continue. And then the other guy just kept talking to the judge. I'm like, dude, I'm like trying to do my play right here. Like, let the judge go. And he was asking the judge more questions and stuff. And like, I forgot what he asked him exactly. He was like asking for more time or some shit like that. I'm not sure. But I was like, dude, like let's just play, like whatever. And then at the end of that, I ended up taking game 2, game 3. We go into time, and towards the end of it, he's like, oh, let me call judge again, because I forgot to ask for a time extension. And I'm like, dude, just fucking play, bro. Like, you can't even do anything right now. Like, the board, it was turn 3 already. It was, his final turn. And on top of that, I went into Metal Garurumon, so I froze his shit on board, so he couldn't even attack if he wanted to. He couldn't game me. There was absolutely no way that Sekon could have gamed me in the board state that we were in. He had 1 Digimon on board, and I froze 2 of his tamers. I froze his Digimon as well, so he couldn't even like Digivolve into something with security +1 and attack, So I was like, dude, let's just finish this match. Like, it doesn't matter. I was like, your stuff is frozen anyways. And he's like, no, I need to call him for a time extension. So he calls him for time extension. The judge comes in, he tells him no, and I'm like, okay, like, can you continue your turn now? And he's there arguing with the judge, and he's like, I want to appeal. I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter. You can't do anything. I'm like, judge, he can't even play right now. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, his board's frozen. Like, he can't even do anything. And so the judge is like, no, we're not giving you a time extension. So then he's like, I want to appeal. And then he brings in the head judge. And the head judge is like, no, we're not giving you a time extension because they told you to continue playing after, the first one. And then he was there arguing with him. Like, he said, I had to take time to submit the video and tell them what happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, that's your problem. Like, you're playing slow. He's like, I'm not playing slow. You're playing slow. I'm like, bro, I'm taking like 20-second turns, and you're over there shuffling your cards, trying to figure out what one card you want to play. Like, I wasn't taking long at all. That's why I 2-0'd you. And he's like, you didn't 2-0 me. We had a tie. And I was like, well, we have a tie now because you went and cried to the judge that I didn't draw once. Like, so, yeah, after that, like, that's a frustrating experience.
Yeah.
I went back to look at that dude's record, and his record was 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Oh my god.
And then his last 2 games, he had 2 wins on them. So he pretty much, I'm assuming his tactic is, go in there with security control, hope to win game 1 and tie. I mean, if that's the kind of player you are, like, do whatever you want.
Yeah,
I don't care. But like, if you're clearly getting your ass whooped and getting 2-0'd by Gabubond, fucking sleeper deck, like, bro, you're just bad. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're just a bad player. But yeah, I mean, after that, like, I was kind of flustered. My heart was like, bah, 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 bah. Like,
yeah.
You know how you get into those weird situations, like with random people you don't know. Yeah, like, so like I had to like, kind of chill out after that. My next game ended pretty quickly. I 2-0'd him. The rest of my games ended pretty quickly. I 2-0'd them like within the first 20 minutes. So like after that, like it kind of helped because I went into that game. I was like, man, I just want to win this like hella fast, and I pretty much did. And after that, I was just chilling there, telling myself, okay, let's finish this. We have 2 ties already. We can still possibly top. And that's pretty much what I did. Like, my mindset after that was like, okay, we're just playing. The rest of the people I played against were, they were all cool people. Every time I hatched, they were like, oh, you're playing a blue deck. Okay. I'm assuming they thought I was playing like Mirage Gabumon.
Yeah.
And then they saw me digivolve into like a Gabumon, and they were like, okay, probably playing Melga, right? And then I play a Matt for 3, and they're like, oh, okay, he's playing Gabumon. Like, they were like, every time I did that, the person that I was playing against, they were like, oh, you're playing Gabumon. I wanted to play that deck, and I decided not to. Like, I don't know how many people told me that day.
I guess Gabubon's getting some traction.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really seen anybody talking about it much, besides that YouTube channel that I saw.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really seen anybody talk about the deck, let alone top with it.
I think it was when I got interested in the bond stuff. It's because I showed up in BT10, so I wasn't anywhere near this meta. I think Mike had built Agubon, and I was like, you know what? I want to build Gabubon, and I couldn't find any list that made sense until Digital Gate Studios came out with one. And I was like, hey, this one makes sense for 15. And then now with your list, it made more sense because it was like, it's a style that I like already. So it's like, cool, I'm going to use this one instead. Which I'm still waiting on the cards to come in. So I think I'm just missing the what is it? The one that can... What the hell is it called? The alt-art one you have. I can't remember the name of which set that one came from.
The BT6 Gabumon?
Yeah, that one, and I think I need one more of the Gabubonds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But everything else I have. I had a question also. Why the 4 Louis? Did it work out too, like in your matches?
Bro, Louis is crazy. Especially in this deck. Crazy, bro. He makes the deck so much faster. Him and Ukomon are what make this deck a viable deck in this meta. At least that's what I believe. Because being able to push early and once you have your opponent at 3 security, which you can easily do the first 2 turns that you get, as long as you have Louis Ukomon, that's pretty much it. Like, there's not much that your opponent can do after you go into a Gabubond, because you're getting those 2 checks in, and then let's say you have Gabubond, they're already at 0 security, while they have nothing on board pretty much, because you're clearing board with everything else that you're playing. So the idea is to rush with Ukomon. Once we have Ukomon, use Louis. We run 4 Louis because we want to see him not only in the beginning of the game, but towards the end as well. Because promoting a Gabumon off of a Louis while you have 2 to 3 mats is crazy. Like, because one mat is not once per turn. So if you can somehow hatch again and get another Gabumon in raising and use another Louis, you're not only gaining even more memory for that turn, you're also getting draw power off of it. So like, let's say you have an Ukumon on board that has just stuck there for a turn. Your next turn you hatch, you digivolve into a Gabumon, and you play Louis to promote it. You're hatching again with that Ukumon that's stuck there from last turn, and then you can digivolve into another Gabumon, play another Louis, promote again, and get that memory again and draw power again.
That's sick.
So it's pretty crazy. Like, consistently in this deck, once you have like your mats and your Louis, you're starting almost every turn at like 7 to 8 memory, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
no other deck can start multiple turns at 7 to 8 that I've seen, at least.
Yeah. The only one that I ever saw was maybe Vaccine, when Mike would freaking have like 3 or 4 TKs on the damn board, pat him on, digivolve, get a memory, let me get 3, 4 more memory. I'm like, I hate you, man.
Security control, if they're playing the TK Karis, I can see it happening.
Yeah.
But even then, like, as far as like regular decks go, not like something like security control.
Yeah.
There's no other deck starting at that much memory almost every turn.
Yeah. You can't really see it around not at this point in time. What about in your list that you think you would maybe change, if anything?
In the deck profile I did talk about Death X-Mon. I am running 2 currently. And before I was trying to find out what I would replace one with, because like I said, this deck has like a ton of draw power and a ton of search, so I'm adding a lot of cards to hand and drawing a ton. Sometimes I'm promoting a Gabumon and drawing 3 or 4 cards just off the promote, depending on what Gabumon it is. And we'll draw Death Eggs off of that. And a lot of games in the Ultimate Cup, I had both Death Eggs in hand. So, I mean, even before the tournament, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to replace it with. I just couldn't find anything better to replace it with, so I decided to run 2. I was like, I guess I'll just stick with the 2 and, see how it works out. I mean, it worked out pretty well. I never really got to drop him for less than like 9 memory in the entire tournament. But even then, dropping him for 9, like I said, I was constantly at like 6, 7, 8 memory. So like even dropping him for 9, I was still only putting my opponents like 3 or 4, 5 at the most, if anything. But I think Death X is probably the one that I might change. I would have to test it out. But like I said, I don't know what I would put in place of it. There's not really. I don't think I would add another level 4. I might add another level 4, either Lanamon or Kumamon. I think I would lean more to Lanamon than anything, because she has some crazy synergy with this deck. But I mean, other than that, like there's not. I feel like everything else was fine. The 4 Louis was crazy. 4 Mats, I mean that's standard. The Davis, I want to test out. I didn't get to test out the big. I think it's BT15 Mat. I think he's from BT15, the one where you search 3 and add a Gabumon or Garurumon in name.
Yeah, and then when you draw a card by an effect, you gain a memory.
Yeah, when you draw effect,
but gain a card by effect. Yeah,
when you gain a card by Digimon effect, that's what it is. I was after the tournament, I was kind of like looking at that card, and I was like, why didn't I run this over Davis? But then, like, I was like, well, Davis lets me grab my hybrids, and Matt wouldn't let me grab my hybrids.
Yeah.
So that's why I leaned more to Davis, and also Davis is a memory tamer. Not that I need a memory tamer, right? But having a memory tamer is even more crazy.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, I was looking at after the tournament, thinking about trying out the Mat. But other than that, like I think everything else is fine. Training, boost over training in this deck, 100%.
I agree.
Because trainings don't work with warp effects, and they don't work with the blue hybrids. So training definitely came in clutch a lot. A lot of times I would have like 1 Mat on board and a Louis, and then I would just have a training on board, and my opponent would pass turn, and I could pop training later so that I could go into hybrid for game over it. So boost was definitely really good as well.
When BT16 comes around, you think the other Uko is viable in here now? I mean, what would you? It looks like it's real tight. Like, it looks like your deck's real tight already. Like, that thing is like an extra draw engine for you, and it grabs a tamer too. Like, would you? Does it
add both a Digimon and a tamer, or does it just add one or the other?
I think you reveal top 3, you add one or the other. So you got a choice.
Yeah.
Let me see. One of your Digimon moves from breeding area to the battle area. Go top 3 of your deck. Add 1 Digimon or tamer. Turn the rest to the bottom. I might test it out, but I feel like
the memory is better.
The memory is just way better in this particular deck.
Yeah.
And Digivolving for 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Digivolving for 0 and gaining memory and hatching and being able to Digivolve again.
They had to crunch it somehow, right?
Yeah. So no, I don't think I would replace the Ukomons with this one, because the memory is just so good, and the deck is already pretty efficient at drawing and searching as well. So I think this Ukomon is just better for the deck. the memory one.
What was the other thing? I remember when the Ukumons came out for the movie thing. I lost mine, by the way. I don't know where the heck my pack is. I had it somewhere. So. And I packed an Ukumon. It's gone. That was money gone now. I remember at the beginning, I believe a lot of people didn't believe on the Ukumon. And then was it maybe like 2 weeks later when someone busted out like a Rookie Rush style deck, and then people were like, hey, we can use Ukumon in this deck instead, or like hybrids became more like Ukumon's getting involved, and I think Ukumon's starting to get involved in a lot more than just hybrids now, and it's like how that card evolved the meta. It's crazy. I love it.
It really did, and yeah, like nobody believed in this card when it first came out. But then when you think about it, like being able to promote and hatch, it's pretty much putting you a turn ahead of your opponent. So like if you're running Ukumons or your opponent's running Ukumons and you see Ukumon before them, like they're already a turn behind because you have that extra promote for the next turn. And that's why I think this Ukumon is so crazy. Not only in like you could literally put it in any deck.
Yeah, I have it in my
It just
Imperial.
does good.
Yeah, I have it in Imperial right now.
And Imperial it does even better because you can add it off your searches with because it has free and it's free and its attribute.
Yeah, I had it because I remember there was a time where I think we're building Imperial decks again. I played Bobby, and he's like, "What the heck? You're playing the Ukumon?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. I get a memory and a hatch, and then look at all the memory I'm gaining right now. It's pretty good." He's like, "Huh."
Yeah.
And I also didn't realize about the whole free part till later, and I was like, I'm an idiot. I never even picked it up off the Vmon. That's what happens when you don't read your cards.
We don't read up here.
How many rounds was your Ultimate Cup?
I believe it was 8.
8. Do you remember like all the decks that you played?
I do have the list here. Let me bring it up. Okay, yeah, so round 1, I played against Gabubond. That's the other deck that I tied against. Which
I heard about that.
And the only reason I tied was I was swinging for game, and Judge came in and said that was time in overtime. And I said, Judge, I'm swinging already for game before you got in here. And he was like, no, that's time. You guys are considered a draw. And I was mad. I was like, wow. And that's because, some stuff happened with in this game. It was my first game of the day. And this guy called Judge because I declared something. I declared I was going to do something. The situation was I was going into Bond, but I forgot to pop my boost. So I said, I'm gonna go into Bond. But I hadn't even put the card down yet. I hadn't even revealed it from my hand. And then I was like, oh wait, never mind, because I realized I'm at 2. I hadn't popped my boost yet. And then he's like, oh no, you have to do it now because you said you're gonna do it already. And I was like, I haven't even put the card down. Like, how do you know I have it? He's like, no, you declared that you're gonna do it.
Wow.
And I was like, no, dude, I haven't even showed it yet. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call Judge. And I was like, all right, man, do what you gotta do.
Oh my god.
So he called Judge. The judge came in, and the judge said, yeah, because you declared it, you have to do it. So I pretty much went into Bond for 3 while I was at 2, put my opponent at 1, and Bond died. And I trashed 2 security. I was at 4 at the time. I trashed 2. And he had a stack in raising. My Bond died. I was like, all right, dude. And I was like, it's okay. We can continue playing. He needs all the help he needs all the help he can get right now, anyways. And the judge just laughed and left because I was mad after that. I was like, fuck this guy.
Okay, that started the fuse.
Yeah, that started the fuse, and Secon just made it worse. But so then after that, the next turn he promoted. I didn't know we were in time at whenever, actually at that time I don't think we were in. No, yeah, we were in time. So we had to wait for the judge to get in there, and I'm pretty sure that's why we went into time. I probably should have told them, "Oh, can we get an extension?" But I don't think about shit like that. Like I don't come here to fucking call a judge to my table, right? So he promoted. He was doing his things, Gabubond things, slotting this, slotting that, digivolving into this, and he ended on level 6. Whatever, he didn't even swing. So I fucking drew another bond. And I digivolved into Gabu in the back, played a Louis, promoted, had all the memory. I swung with him, and I was like angry. I was kind of like looking through my hand, but not really. I was trying to figure out how I was going to game him that turn because I knew I could game him somehow. But like my mind at the time was clouded. I would have to say. Because I had hybrid in hand, and all I needed to do was digivolve into hybrid and swing for game because I was at 2, and he had no more security after I swung with my Gabumon. But I was kind of like cycling through my hand, like looking like, God damn, how can I win game right now? But like I couldn't see it. I don't know what it was, but I just couldn't see it. And then eventually I was like, okay, I gotta calm down. So I kind of calmed down a little bit, and then I was like, I have fucking hybrid in hand. What am I doing? So I digivolve into hybrid, and then I go, okay, swing for game. And at that exact same time, another judge comes back in, and he's like, oh, that's time and overtime. And I was like, I'm swinging for game right now. And he's like, no, it's too late. And I was like, oh my God, fuck this guy. And then I even told the Gabumon player too, I was like, dude, you're so lucky that Judge saved you twice this game. And then I was like, I left the fucking game. I was so mad.
I mean, if y'all don't know this, James gets bad luck against judges, man.
Bro, they're against me, man. Like,
I remember that Fort Worth tournament where they had a random deck check, and this guy had like not the exact list he posted, and they're like,
"It was a Messenger player."
Yeah, it was a Messenger player.
I was like, "What, bro? Then what's the whole point of us submitting a list?" Exactly,
right?
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. Judges like never rule in my favor. But I mean, it is what it is. So the run started like that off of Gabumon and a few judge calls. Yeah, so I had that as a tie, and I was like, okay, we have one tie. We can still win out. We'll win the rest. After that, I played. I think it was. I don't know if it was Lugamon or Ulforce after that I played against. I want to say it was Lugamon though. He was actually a local Dallas player. So I kind of knew him. He's also kind of a YouTuber, but not really. His name's Antics. I don't know if you guys have heard of him.
Huh.
No.
I think I have.
Yeah, well, he's friends with like all the GFG people.
Oh, okay.
So, I already knew what he was playing because obviously, he plays locals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he like game 1. It was pretty close, but I had went into Metal Garurumon, and Metal Garurumon has evade, so he couldn't get off his deletion effect with Fenrir Lugo. So he couldn't get the restand off the when attacking effect. So all I did was I was like, okay, evade restand. He's like, oh yeah, shit, like he has evade. And I was like, yeah. So I ended up winning that one because my Metal Guru lived. I swung once with it, restood, and then I went into bond over it and swung 3 more times. And that was pretty much it. Game 2. Game 2, I believe he didn't have Soul Lugar, so he had to go into Chimera over his Force. He actually did it twice because he had both Chimeras in hand. So he had some weird stacks. Yeah, so, and then like he also couldn't find his level 4s for a minute. So game 2 kind of went by pretty fast because I had all the Ukomons and all the Louis. So I was like, okay, Digivolve Ukomon, play Louis, promote, gain memory, digivolve into another Ukomon. Okay, I drew another Louis. We'll do the same thing again. Promote. We'll go ahead and swing. Effect of one, you draw. It dies. Swing the other Uko. Draw again. Okay, now I have a Gabumon. We'll go ahead and play this Gabumon. We'll play another Louis. Promote. Like, it was pretty crazy. I was just like drawing everything that I needed. So I pretty much just rushed him down, and he just didn't have an answer after I cleared his 2 stacks.
That sounds fun to be your opponent.
Yeah. After that, like I said, I don't know if it was round 2 or 3 that I played Ulforce. But I played Ulforce. He couldn't keep anything on board.
Yeah, of course.
He was trying to search for his Ulforce as well. He couldn't find it, and he ended up bottom decking one off of a search. I forgot what search it was that he couldn't grab it. Oh, it was the I think it's Digimon.
So level 5?
Yeah, the level 5 you suspended to an adult tamers.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh fuck, I need to find my Renas and my Ulforce. So I guess he promoted his level 5 and then did the effect, and he found Ulforce. It was like his next card that he was gonna draw. And then he ends up having to bottom deck it.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh.
So yeah, so then he just didn't have anything else. He's like, okay, I'll play V-Tamer for 2. And then I just cleared that stack, and he just couldn't come back from that.
Dang, should have just played the V-Tamer, drew a card.
Yeah. After that, I played... I think that was the first setcom player I played against.
The one you talked about
round
earlier?
4.
Yeah.
No, this is a different setcom player.
Okay.
So I played 2 different setcom players. This first one, game 1, I beat him pretty fast. He had almost nothing in security. I had like 1 drawback maybe. But I mean, other than that, I beat him pretty quickly. Game 1. Game 2, I drew like 0 blue tamers. Like my first like 25 draws. So I was kind of struggling. But at some point in the game, I was looking at his deck and realized that he's just recovering a lot. And he had like 16 security at one point, 17 security. Because I just kept bouncing back his, I believe it's the BT1 Magna or BT3, I don't know what it's from. But the 7 cost Magna that lets you recover 1. I just kept bouncing it back to hand. Off Gesso effect or off... Because I had a Gessomon out that had jamming. Because I had the Bukamon egg under it. So I was just kind of like swinging at his security and then like bouncing his Magna back to hand. Eventually it did die. I think like the 2nd or 3rd time that it swung. And then I was bouncing it back also with Zudo. He just kept playing it. So I eventually decked him out. And I was just hard playing stuff like to answer his Magna on the board. Because he just kept playing it to pass turn. I was like, alright, I'm just going to keep bouncing it back. He can keep drawing 1 card and recovering 1 every turn. He's losing 2 cards and I'm only losing 1 once per turn. Because I'm not promoting. I wasn't promoting. I wasn't digivolving. That was essentially the plan. That second game, because I didn't see any tamers for so long. I mean, it worked, I guess. I didn't expect to deck out Setcon. Yeah, so I 2-0'd that guy. I wasn't even close to going into time against him because I was playing like 2-second turns. After that guy, I played against like some black deck. It was like Black Heavy Leomon or something. I'm not sure exactly what it was. It was running like Marvins and the Mega Dramon that de-digivolves when attacking.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just way faster than that guy. He couldn't really do anything. He had like 1 heavy Leo that he was able to get on board. And I just trashed all his sources with Gesso and Sorajo. And then played a Zudomon to finish it and bounce it back to hand. So he's like, well, there goes that. And then after that, I just rushed him down. Game 2, same thing. Like, he couldn't establish anything on board. I was just bouncing everything to hand. Started off with some Foxfires and eventually dropped some Zudos and stuff like that. So he couldn't keep anything on board. That was another quick game. Then the next one was the second SetCon, which we kind of already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ended up in a draw. Whatever. Fuck that guy. Well, super douche. I don't know how else to say it. Like, after him, I played against Numamon. Essentially, that's the deck that I came in to really play against. And like I said, my deck is a super counter to that deck. As long as I don't let them get Venusmon on board, I'm good to go. So there was a point where he had like 5 Digimon on board, I want to say. And I had Death X in hand. I was like, okay, how can I not Death X him? Because he had like 2 Numamon X, one just on board and then another one under his Manzemon. He also had a Platinum Numamon on board. And I don't remember if he was playing Gazi or Chumon. It was one of the memory blockers, which I didn't really care about, right? Because all my memory comes from Tamers. So I was never worried about a memory blocker unless I had Boost on board, but I didn't have Boost on board at that time. And I was like starting at 7 or 8 in memory already because I saw like every single mat. So what I ended up doing instead of Death Xing, I went into Gabumon, BT6 Gabumon in the back, and I just promoted it off Louis. And then I went into Bond and just bot decked all his stuff, and then ended Foxfire to bounce his Platinum Nume. And that after that, like he couldn't come back from that, so I pretty much won that one. And then game 2, he was playing his Gurmon, but he wasn't seeing any Numamons in hand, so he couldn't get the draw effects off of it. He was able to do it like once. But I kept bouncing it back to hand with like Foxfire because I drew all 3 Foxfires. So I was like, oh, this is not what I want to see. Like that was like one of the few games that I saw like all my Foxfires in hand at the same time. So I just kept I was just like kind of stalling until I was able to get like an Ukomon or like a Gabumon or one of the Gabumons with the inherits. So I mean that game ended pretty quickly as well. That was like a 15-minute match. So it ended pretty quickly. And then my last one was against Grace Nova. Surprisingly, that was my last game of the day. Whenever we came up against each other, he hatched, and I was like, "He's playing Grace Nova? Like what? Like what's going on?" Like, I was like, "Damn, you're playing Grace Nova?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, congrats for getting this, this high towards the end of the tournament." Like, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Congrats to you too, playing Gabubond and getting this far in the tournament." But yeah, that dude, he couldn't establish board at all. Like, I drew all my Zunamons, I drew all my Foxfires, I drew my Gesomons, so I didn't let nothing stay on board, and I was just like swinging one at a time. And that's pretty much how both games ended. Like, I went into an early Gabubond and just bottom decked his level 4, and that was pretty much it. He got like 1 stack out, went up to level 5, and then I kind of just bottom decked it with Gabubond, and that was it.
That sounds annoying. Because Grace Nova does need to have their bodies, right? Just to keep doing their little shenanigans.
Yeah.
Well, at least the body, and they need sources, and you kind of get rid of that stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. He did do a cool play though, which I didn't. I never really looked into Grace Nova. I like Dianamon and her whole line. She's like one of my favorite Digimon. So when I was first looking at that deck when it was coming out, I was kind of bummed. It's only good whenever you're playing, the Grace Nova deck. So I was like, I never really looked into the deck like super crazy. I know what it does, and I know, the regular stuff it does. But he was also playing the D Reaper Searcher that lets you draw one on play, and you can play it for 1 memory if it's your only one on board, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he did a pretty cool play that I had never really thought of, where He promoted the blue rookie, Lunamon, and then used her effect to bounce Searcher back to hand, and then played Searcher again for 1 to get another draw after gaining the 2 memory. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of smart, because that gives you more draw power in the deck that it definitely needs. And not only that, you're gaining free memory.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I never even thought of that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
If we're talking about sleeper decks, what's maybe one more sleeper deck you think that could possibly do something, or you think that would be fun to play in a tournament?
Another sleeper deck. It's very hard right now for like low tier decks to do good.
Yeah.
If there was another sleeper deck, I would say it has to be a blue deck. I don't know what blue deck. And the reason I say blue is because a lot of decks right now depend on deletion. And blue decks bypass that by bottom decking or bouncing back to hand. And I think that's definitely the way to go right now if you want to counter the meta. Use cards that bounce like Zudomon, or the bottom deck like Gabubond.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure what sleeper deck exactly, but it would have to be a blue one.
Mine right now is Blue Hybrid. Blue Hybrid is mine.
Yeah.
Right now. I love playing that thing right now. I finally found a style for it, and I enjoy it so much. I played Mike, and it was a fun matchup. Unlucky he didn't get to see his geos when I was playing his Shine, and then.
Yes.
And then against Kim, I pissed her off. I kept stripping all her stuff and bouncing, and she was pretty. She was like, "All right, fuck these blue decks."
Yeah, blue has always been like really good. Unfortunately, it's not doing too hot right now, except for Mirage. So I mean, I like bringing this deck. I was like, okay, we'll go in. We'll go X2 if anything.
Just have some fun with it.
And we'll be happy. But it ended up being a lot better than that. And coming to a lot of people, I saw like a lot of people really liked the deck and really wanted to see the list. That's why I made the video with CK. CK's like, how about you just make a video and we'll post it on the channel. I won't really edit it too much. We'll just throw up the cards that you talk about and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure, why not? So that's why CK ended up doing posting the video.
That was another thing I wanted to shout out was CK's channel. Like, there's another video for James List, and he talks about his deck as well on Valley Boys TCG. So y'all should check out that channel as well. He's cool. He's from the same area.
Yeah, he's a busy guy though.
Yeah,
so
very busy. I tried to get him on here in a podcast. He agreed on it. It's just that he was pretty busy, and I was like, nah, dude, I understand. Whenever you're good, let me know. He's like, no, but I really do want to get on. I'm like, nah, I believe you, man. No worries. Like, I know you're a busy dude. You got kids. You got a job. Like, you got a wife.
Yeah. Not only does he have a job, he's a teacher.
Yeah.
Which is even harder for them. Because, they work after hours.
Especially during the school year.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like I said, he really wanted to get that video out for me. So I was like, okay, cool. Sure. Sure. Why not? I'll go ahead and make the profile, and then you can edit it up and post it on the channel. And that's exactly what he did. So that was pretty cool of him. I know a lot of other people have been talking about the deck as well. I guess it's coming to the forefront now, even more now, because I topped with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was actually going to buy my last Altar Zudomon yesterday. And I went to look at all the listings, and the card was at $10 before, and it's now $20.
Dang, is that
so I don't want to say I had an effect on that, but I kind of feel like I had an effect on that.
They saw the list and they're like, "Hey, we need these to make it look pretty."
Yeah, because I mean they were cheap. They're $10. The Altar Zudomons were $10.
I was surprised how cheap they were, because it's probably like one of the best ace cards we have too.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think it's one of the best, if not the best. I would say him and Mega Gargo are probably the best aces right now.
Yeah, I would have Mega Gargo, him, and I have Magna up there as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions that you might have for James, Mike?
No, not really.
Oh yeah, James, real quick. Man, I can't believe we forgot when we were doing their Mesquite recap or whatever the regionals. Like, it was cool that it was cool hanging out with you, man, and
Yeah.
especially the in-house tournament. It was pretty dope. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty fun. It's always good to see, faces from home.
Well, now you got new faces, and I heard the competitive scene over there is pretty tough, like you said. So I'm sure you're getting a lot of good practice over there.
Yeah, I go to a lot of locals right now because I don't have my wife and kids over here right now. So like I have to find something to do. I don't want to just be bored at home all day.
Yeah.
So I've been going to a lot of locals, and actually, like I've been playing Gabubond against them, and I've been taking tournaments with it. So that's another reason why I was like, okay, maybe this deck is kind of good. Like it does really well. Like because a lot of these players they play like meta decks, like digimon and security control, and there's a lot of people are playing rabbit deck.
Yeah, the rabbits.
Yeah. So there's a healthy amount of scenes over here, which is pretty crazy. Coming from the valley, there's only like Kaboom and you guys over there at Olympus, and then
HTS.
I'm not sure.
I think in Brownsville. I think they're Fridays
I don't know.
too.
Do they still get tournaments over there at HTS? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything for them in a while.
They get strong.
Yeah, they have tournaments on the same days as we do on Friday.
Yeah.
And Kaboom,
Of
of
course.
course.
Westico has theirs on Thursdays.
Yeah, Westico was like on Thursdays, like at like 3 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
They actually have a good turnout. I was surprised. Like I thought when I first went, I was like, it's gonna be like 4 people. It's gonna be like a round robin type of tournament, and it was actually like 8-10 people there. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
This
it's crazy to
works.
me because at the time that it starts, like 3 o'clock, I'm like, man, that's
Yeah.
people don't got jobs. Like, come on, man. Like, I get Ben being there because Ben works there, so he can play. But like everybody else, I'm like, damn, like
Yeah,
y'all
Ben,
work that y'all get out at 3. Like,
yeah, Ben comes in on Thursdays because he gets off at GameStop.
I know we have Stronghold
Yeah.
on Sundays, but it's hit
yeah,
or
I would
miss
say
now.
like the strongest ones were Kaboom, a Stronghold, and then you guys at Olympus were like the most consistent. Everybody else is kind of like here and there where people would go.
Yeah.
I'm proud of our little group. They've all
Yeah.
grown up. They've all became better players. They make it harder now.
Yeah,
real.
definitely. Yeah, for sure. You guys have definitely gotten better since the beginning days. I remember my first game against Mike. Unfortunately, he got clapped.
I think I remember my first tournament ever
yeah.
was against you too. I was like, that was my first game.
Yeah, your first tournament. I believe it was there in Westico.
Yeah, I was playing Jessamon.
You were playing Jessamon. I was playing Grandis. Unfortunately, you got clapped also.
Yep, super quick.
You were like, how many checks with Grandis? What? Restand? What? How many more?
So, dude, I was like, damn, what is this? This is badass. I want to do that.
Yeah, but no, yeah, y'all have definitely gotten way better since then, and I think it's really cool to see that you guys newer players, because I've been in the game since the beginning. It's been like 3 or 4 years now since the game came out, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. So it's good to see like you guys that have stuck with it as long as you have. I believe Mike's been around since BT7, I want to say.
Yeah.
During hybrids, right? When hybrids came out.
Yep.
That was a rough time, but
Yeah.
to come into the game. That was a rough time to learn the game because hybrids was new to everybody, not only the new players. So yeah, I think that's I think it's pretty cool that you guys stuck with it, and there's so many people that still love the game, and you guys obviously love the game just as much.
Yeah, we're always there, casuals, almost every day in the week, almost. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, we're always talking about this game constantly.
It's a fun game, and I'm excited because I heard 19 might be some Crosswords manga cards. So I love Cross.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, Cross could be coming back. I saw that Lord Nightmon Ace is coming out.
Yeah.
I'm a Lord Nightmon stan. I love Lord Nightmon. So I can't wait for that to come back out.
Bellstar Ace is coming out too.
Yeah, Bellstar as well. I definitely can't wait for that. Hopefully they make some new Three Musketeer cards for it instead of just making it like, 7 cost options, and that's the only way to play the deck, because that's currently the only way to play the deck.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I hope they make her pretty good. It's like not just some like let's just slap Ace on her and then does really not much, like mediocre effect or something that barely does anything.
I feel like it's gonna be different because as of right now, like Bellstar in general, just it doesn't run level 5s, so you're not gonna blast over anything.
Yeah, so maybe with the Impmon and the starter deck, Bellstars go along with her. Maybe we'll see. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that definitely happening. But I mean, like I said, maybe they make more Three Musketeer support. So not only supporting her, but also like Magna Kid and I think the other one's Gundramon is what his name is.
I forgot about those.
Yeah. So I did run that deck when the deck first came out. I actually got my invite to nationals with that deck. So it was pretty cool at that time. After that, though, like everybody was like, okay, get rid of the garbage, which was like Magna Kid and Gundra, and just run all the options and the draw discard stuff. And that's what Bellstar turned into.
all right, man. But I mean, you don't have anything else, Mike?
No, I'm good.
I don't have anything else. You good, James?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, though.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate you coming on. It's always good talking to you.
For real.
You have a lot of knowledge in the game, so I might need some help testing with BT16.
Yeah, for 16, I'm going to probably play Rapid because I love Golden Rapidmon, and just like I don't like the Gargle line for Terriermon, but I like the Golden Rapid line. So I already have my alt arts for that. So I'm ready for that. That's going to be fun.
Alrighty, well, that'll wrap it up. That's James with his top 16 Gabubond deck. There's this list. Y'all have been seeing it throughout the whole video here. He had his take, and I mean, there's nothing else for us to say. So thank y'all for watching. Again, shout out to CK and Valley Boys TCG. Go check out his channel. What was the other streamer, James, that you're saying, like from the Dallas area?
Antics.
I think I saw him do a video with Numamon, the guy who topped it with Numamon.
Yeah, he did a video with Dan Vang.
And shout out to that guy too. Digital Gate Studios. I freaking love you guys.
Yep.
I'm a big fan. But again, thank y'all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. You have a good day.
Good.